Well. Welcome back, Valiant fam. As you see, we got our boy VP Matt Klein on, and man, you were just telling us some stuff we're about to talk about, and this is about to be pretty wild.
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you for having me on. I was here for X-O Manowar #2. I'm so excited to be here after X-O Manowar #4 is dropped. Talk all things that issue, everything coming up. And, look, I understand that tonight on the channel, I'm following the man, the myth, the legend of Chip Zdarsky, Jason Liu. And, I got big shoes to follow. When Chip Zdarsky is the opening act, the bar is set real high. So I don't have sex criminals to my name, but I brought props. I brought a ton of stuff with me just to show, because I've got the Intercontinental Championship here. I may not be the heavyweight champ, but I'm the worker. And that's what I'm here to do, to bring joy and happiness to you guys, all the Valiant fans who are tuning in. And so jump on it, man. Wherever you want to start, I will follow your lead.
Okay. So all right. We'll get to the comics in a second here, but I'm just gonna bust this wide open because, all right, before we went live, all right, and I'm gonna build this up slow for everybody who's just now trickling in. Okay, you were telling us that at one point there was a plan to have a whole variety of weapons. Like, if you guys have been paying attention, if you're not following us on Twitter, I don't know how you're watching this right now, but we were just talking about the time capsule. We've been talking about the Eternal Warrior, hand axe, battle axe, all these. Apparently that was just to tip the iceberg.
Let me give a little bit of a backstory here. Let me set the scene. This is Valiant 2014. So I'm a wee Valiant babe come into the office, and one of the things that we did is that I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but we make a lot of swag, so I was there at the forefront of it. I was one of the guys who, my job when I first started as a sales rep was to find vendors and get the artwork and get all the swag made. I was in the room when we said, let's do Valiant branded box cutters. Let's do pens. Let's do, we got the Valiant mobile, the wrapping from Chrysler and from Chevy. So I was there for all of it, and that was my job. That was one of my main functions. I called stores about Valiant, and I got all the crazy swag made, and then I had to ship it out of the office. So one of the things that we did for Wrath of the Eternal Warrior, as everybody remembers, as an incentive to retailers who bought exclusives with us, exclusive covers, we had this guy made. This is one of the Wrath of the Eternal Warrior battle axes. Now, this is a legit axe. I mean, it's technically a prop, but you could kill a man. We don't recommend you do it, but I remember I was in charge of finding a wholesaler for the axe, ordering them. I found the engraver. I was responsible for getting the first 25 or 30 and carrying them on the subway in 10 at a time in cabs to this place. And he was like, we've never done this before, but we could do this, sure. He was engraving watches. He was engraving plaques. And it's here's a battle axe. How's this work? So, and I just went back to him every month with 10 more. And I became one of his favorite customers. I was bringing him comics for his kids. He actually visited the booth at New York Comic Con in 2016. We hooked him up. So this is one of those things. I think there are less than 50 of these that ever got made. And this is the one that was hanging out in my office for a while that I brought home when we started working from home. So, but this was supposed to be the beginning. So when we did Wrath the Eternal Warrior, first of all, I love that axe. You'll have to pry it out of my cold, dead hands. But I can direct you to the stores that still have their axes. I used to take this thing on photo shoots for shops and everything. Danny Ward, before Danny Ward started working for Valiant, she ran JHU in Staten Island, and I brought her an axe for the store, and she took a photo with it. And that photo of her with the axe is when the New York Daily News ran an article about how she chased down a thief from JHU. So this axe has made the round. It's been photographed. But one of the things that inspired the axe was this rye sword. Now, this is little known. So this is really, I think, the only one of its kind. Adam Friedman might know for sure. But this was hanging up in the offices for a couple of years. This was around when rye first came out. And you can actually see where is it? On this side, there's actually like in Japanese engraving on there and everything. I can't remember if we made it or if this was a fan who made it and dropped it off at a booth one year. So the next thing after the axe was to do a rye sword. And that was going to be part of, I believe that was going to be for 4001 AD back in, I think it was 2016. And I bought swords. I went to engravers. We bought vinyl stickers. We were looking at doing it that way because engraving got really expensive for the blade because it's so thin. And then we were thinking like, all right, for Archer and Armstrong, could we do like a crossbow bolt for Archer and maybe get that engraved? And then for Bloodshot, could we do like a plastic like BB gun or something? Or like we had all kinds of crazy stuff. I think it was Salvation is what it was. Like we were just going off, and I was determined, like, let's do an arsenal. Let's just every major number one, we just do a different Valiant weapon. And then finally our bosses were like, there's a lot of liability issues. Maybe we shouldn't do it. So instead, for 4001, we came up with the time capsule. And I remember I was in the room with the crew, and the time capsule was my baby. Like literally, I got every single piece of that thing made. I sourced everything out. I helped organize we had like 5 of us go into the conference room just assembling those things. I shipped all of them out along with Annie Rosa at the time. And it was just like, so it was like, because we didn't do the rye sword, we got the 4001 time capsule, which is still maybe my favorite promo piece we've ever done. And it was, I've still got a bunch of like the lithographs. I think I've got like 1,000 of those little coins somewhere in my storage unit now from 4001 AD. Insanity, guys. But we had crazy ideas. We had such insane ideas. I think we were looking at like getting jerseys made. We were looking at getting like actual physical costumes and taking them on the road. Like we had so much stuff that didn't make cut. And still doesn't. It's just like our POP sessions are amazing when we talk about the new swag that we're getting. So that's the story of the Valiant Wrath the Eternal Warrior Axe and this rye sword that has never seen the light of day outside of the Valiant office and now my office.
Insane. Like I'm still here for the plastic BB gun from Bloodshot. Like, give me that.
Oh God. I think we were gonna, like, we've talked about doing dog tags for Bloodshot. We've talked about doing like the dog tags are still something like it's on my bucket list somewhere. I would like to do that.
Yes.
Maybe for the next story arc when it comes in as a promo item. It's all kinds of craziness. So, you know, all the standees come out of those meetings. The 4 pocket displays, the stuff coming up. We get a really cool item for Shadow Man that I'm really excited for. That's actually getting made. I think it'll be ready on Monday. We're going to get it all signed by Cullen in a couple of weeks, I think. And then it's going to be available to a lot of shops for the fan to get it out to the fans. A really cool promo item.
It's not a scythe, is it?
So, we may not have somewhere in storage now a scythe that we actually bought at a Home Depot. I think Danny Ward bought it at a Home Depot, and we were testing it out to see the feasibility of like getting the handle etched and then like and sending it out. It was too dangerous. It was truly just too dangerous a thing to do. But we tried it. So the site has been discussed. It has been tested. Someday there might be a way to make that happen. So stay tuned. You never know. But it will not be for this launch. We will not be doing an engraved site for the Shadow Man, much as Heather Antos might like us to. Um, but yeah.
Let me know.
Again, I will tell you some stores after this of where you can go to try and find one of these axes for sale. So
that works for me because I definitely like finding weird random things when it comes to nerd stuff, and I definitely you slap some Valiant on that, there you go. So
I mean, Valiant is the king of weird nerd stuff. We really are. Like we take great pleasure in it. So
yeah, I still need to get one of those Dr. Tomorrow baseballs. I think that's the one of the other things that's on my list. You got
you
one.
mean this?
Yes.
You mean one of these?
Yes, I need one of those. Like, I don't know why I don't really, but I do. I really do. I need one of those because it needs to go on my shelf. I need
These
to
were
on my desk.
these were awesome. And anywhere that Alejandro went to do a signing, he would sign the ball, which was Alejandro Arbona. For those of you who I don't know why you wouldn't know him as the writer of Dr. Tomorrow, but yeah, this was super super cool. We came up with this idea, and we were just like, man, people, if you put this on the counter at a shop, what are people going to do? They want to play with the ball. Like they want to see, and they're going to ask, what is Dr. Tomorrow? So it's all about interactivity. It's like get people asking the question, what is that thing? And then they say, well, what is it about? And then suddenly you can make a new fan. You get a new reader that way. Create a conversation. I loved the Dr. Tomorrow 8-ball. Dr. Mirage 8-ball. That is pure genius. Danny came up with that thing, and it was just like one of the best reviewed things we heard from retailers. Was just like people couldn't stop like playing with it. They couldn't stop like asking it questions. We're like, exactly. Get them to ask it questions. And the answer should be, will I buy Dr. Mirage #1? And it's like, outlook is good. Like that's what you want. So
that's so smart, actually.
Well, we're always thinking of it. We always try and think of it from the retailer's point of view. We're young. We're still growing. We want to. So how do you stand out in a shop that's full of 400 covers a week of comics, or at least it used to be? And then you have T-shirts on the wall. You have toys. You have pops. You have statues. So where do we fit in there? How do we become part of the conversation? That's the question. So our POP, which stands for point of purchase items, like this is how you do it. You get them to start a conversation because they go, what is that baseball all about? What is that for? Now they're thinking. Now they're talking. So the same thing with the time capsule. We promised them you can get a time capsule if you displayed it from 3 weeks before issue 1 to the day issue 4 comes on sale. You're not allowed to open it until then. And everybody and their mother came back and said, people just keep asking about it. They want to know what's inside. And to our great joy, no shop opened it early because we were convinced that like a day after it arrived, someone would just like take a knife, slice open the seal, and we'd start seeing that stuff on eBay. But they didn't. They kept it a secret for 4.5 months. It was amazing. People want to play along. They like being a part of it. And again, it gets people talking. It gets people asking, what is that thing? Oh, what's that book? Who publishes that book? Valiant. Cool. Let me put that on my pull list. And what else do they got? And that's how you do it. So it's interactivity. It's get the conversation going. And that's one of the things that makes our company, I think, really, really special, because how we interact with the fans, we do the same thing with the retailers, and we're always thinking, what would it be cool for you guys to interact alongside these things with? That's why we're doing the social promotions. Did you guys do the X-O promotion where you got the pin if you use the hashtag X-O2, had a photo of the book?
I don't think so. Did Ken do that?
No, that one I missed because.
Yeah, how did we miss that?
How did I miss that? I don't know. I had a good reason, but I don't remember what it was. I think it was because I got the gold in the mail, and it just took a while. Like, I think like I got mine like 2 days or so after that was like done. So I was like, man, that live in like the middle of nowhere, Kentucky. So all of my books I have to either drive like an hour and a half or whatever. So when I knew I had that coming in the mail, I was like, well, It should be all right. It should get here before then, and then it didn't, and I cried. That's what happened there. But
Well, I'll tell you what.
What?
We're gonna do another one like that for Savage. We got a brand new pin for Savage. I think it should be shipped like next week. And we're going to do a similar promotion where if you take a photo of yourself holding a copy of Savage #1, use the hashtag that we put out on Twitter. You have a week to do it. And even if it's a digital copy, even if it's a copy of your pull list where it's like Savage #1 is on there, but my shop is late, like show it. We'll DM you. We'll still get you the pin, Ken. So I promise you don't have to miss it. We try and make it as easy as possible. So it's like we're trying to, but again, it's that interactivity. It's like, all right, what can we offer fans? And those pins, that's not available anywhere. Retailers can't get that. No, it's straight from us to you guys for this one promotion. So it's all cool stuff that we're trying to, bring in, keep the fans excited, keep us talking, just have some fun. That's the key. Just have some fun. Throw the ball around,
I do have a question. All right, so that brings me to my next question, actually.
As many questions as you answer.
What about new stuff that we can just like buy? Particularly, right? Particularly, I've got a lot of questions about this lately. I got a Faith Pop, which there's just the one. They're supposed to be the set. There's supposed to be 4 of them, right? There's just the one, and they're kind of tricky to track down. So, is there any plans for more Funko Pops?
Are there plans? There are always plans. Funko Pops. Oh, what a story that was. So, because I remember selling those things at New York Comic Con. We only had them for New York Comic Con. We weren't allowed to do anything else with them. So Funko Pops, I don't think you're going to see this year, but stay tuned for 2022. What might happen depending on a few things. But what I will say is something I dropped a hint about last time on here. I just saw some 3D models of something in my inbox like 2 days ago. Greg Katzman made an allusion to this thing on his Twitter feed. They got people speculating. And so I think 2021, you may not get a Funko Pop, but that does not mean you will not be able to take home a little mini Valiant character of some kind in some form. So
I knew it. I knew it. That's why he didn't say nothing when I said he was going to make you guys were dropping more action figures. I knew it.
I didn't say action figures. I didn't say action figures. Did I use the term? Did I use the term? No. Did I use the term?
I think it was a little mini figure, a little mini Valiant character,
and version of a Valiant character.
Yes, that's a.
But no, literally,
I think the official Valiant Twitter just posted like, "Who would you like to see as a 3D model?" And I saw a lot of people commenting. You got Ninjak, you got X-O, lots of Faith, and of course I threw my Bloodshot in, which there weren't enough Bloodshot comments for my liking, but fingers crossed.
I think you're going to be very happy, Ken. I think you're going to be very happy having seen a certain sculpt in my inbox for a certain thing that coming out, it looks like 2021 should be a very, very good year. So it may not be a Funko Pop, but there's going to be something for you, buddy. I promise.
I'm satisfied with that answer. That's a good enough answer for me for right now. I'm sure once we're done, I'll bother you about that more later. But that is a very good answer. Okay. Okay, other stuff coming up on the horizon. This week, X-O Manowar. We got Savage coming out too.
I'm excited. So
let's see what else. Oh, okay. I'll forget if I don't ask. The Visitor, 5 and 6. Do we have a date on those yet?
We do not have a date that I can reveal at this time.
Okay.
I cannot break that news yet on when it could be coming. I'm super excited for the next arc of X-O. We can talk a lot about that, and I'm very excited. We got Shadowman on the horizon in April too. We're going to be breaking some news actually about Bloodshot next week, so keep your eyes peeled. There's going to be something really special and something very cool, we think, in Bloodshot #12 in March. So stay tuned for that news. Greg is already working on the press release, and our partner, who's going to be hopefully doing a little shout out as well in this space on YouTube online. So stay tuned. There's some really, really exciting from Bloodshot next week. We hope you guys like. Savage has gone to the printer. I was confirming the print order numbers for it again yesterday. For number 1, we are so jazzed for this book. Literally, so like one of the ways it works is that there's an approvals group in the office, right? And the interiors, the ads, the pre-order insert, the covers, they all make the rounds, you know, and this group is responsible. Like I take a look at the ads and make sure it's good. The editors go in and they check all the, you know, copywriting and stuff like that. And the designers are on there to look at the covers, make sure the trade dress, everything is good. And everybody on the chain was just like, wow, Savage looks great. We were like, yeah, it does. It's like every single person from our designers in production to editorial to the marketing crews to sales, we all just like were rereading it, ready to go to press. And we're like, this is great. This looks amazing. So we're super jazzed because it's only 18 days away, 19 days away that the first number 1 since March last year is out on shelves for you guys. And Savage will slay. I guarantee it. It will slay. So get ready.
That's such a big moment. Like, so excited for Valiant after a kind of a tough year where things were getting moved around a lot, delayed. We weren't really sure what was happening. This is a big moment, really, to get a new number 1 from Valiant on the shelves.
Absolutely. And invite me back. I'll come back. We'll talk Savage number 1 anytime you guys want. I brought with me here, you guys, did you see the commission we did a contest for Nate Stockman a couple weeks ago?
Yes. I tried to get a Savage commission out of it, but
so one of the ways it came about is like my infinitely better half for my birthday actually got me this Nate Stockman commission. This is because Nate is, on top of being ridiculously talented, one of the nicest guys out there. And so this is like Azrael Batman versus Bane, you know, a la Nightfall. And so Greg Katzman and I, we were talking about like, what are some really cool things? What do other publishers not do that we can do, right? Like, because that's always one of the questions we ask. What is nobody doing? So we talked to Nate about it. And we're like, all right, Nate, we got in the budget. What if we do a commission from you for any fan that wants it? We open it for a week and then he was like, that's awesome. Like nobody does that sort of thing. So like, I'm super excited. Everyone gets to see Nate's work on Savage number 1. You might see some more initiatives like that throughout the year as well, depending on the artist that we're working with. So we get a few more of those lined up.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that. But before we get ahead of ourselves too much, I'd really like to dive into X-O Manowar number 4 because that was a spectacular issue, and I'm so excited to talk about it because the series just gets better and better with every issue. And on issue 4 now, it can, like a lot of series can get into a slump after those first couple. They come out hitting hard, and then it's time to lay down and, you know, get your dialogue in and set up the story. But this one doesn't do that. This one is just pedal to the floor the whole way there, and I'm excited. It's a great issue. So what can you tell us about it? What were your thoughts on it?
Well, first I want to hear Ken's thoughts on it. What was
okay. Well, so
good or bad? Like, hit me with it. Like, I'm curious. Like, we there are no secrets here. We don't have to worry about it.
Okay. So let's start with the good. For the most part, the thing that I really liked about it is that one of the things that I've seen a lot of, I don't want to say necessarily naysayers, but a lot of people are very concerned about with taking a new direction with X-O is the emphasis, the focus on it was almost more lighthearted in the first 2 issues, right? Because it was a little bit more comedic. They had the whole basketball scene in issue 1, so on and so forth. And so it was cool because now going into like the end of issue 3, it's like if you had not stuck around to this point, you are missing out so hardcore. And then you get right into 4, and it's just like this is like if you were I think the best way I can compare it to is like classic 90s X-O, where every time like the spider aliens show up, you're like, well, somebody's about to they're gonna get mauled. Like they're gonna get holes punched through them. They're gonna get limbs tore off. Like X-O is just gonna pop off in here. So him showing up and there's like just these terrorists all over with their toys and whatever. They had this elaborate plan for him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if he beats us, blah blah blah. If we fail, they think they got him figured out, so on and so forth. And then just to see him just come in and not only just like manhandle them, but also outsmart them. That's not a lot of writers kind of forget that even though Arik is like this old barbarian, he's a battle hardened dude. He grew up in conflict, so he's a genius when it comes to physical confrontation. So to see it worked in, and then also with Troy adding in the robots and everything else, I'll try to keep it as slightly
spoiler free. Yeah,
as I can. So to see all that was fantastic, because this is like, at this point there's no naysaying, right? Like that is what you want to see in X-O. So all that was really, really, really good. Now, I did have one thing.
Okay.
I kind of had a thing. Well, all right. I'm gonna word this. How do I word this correctly?
Do we just come out with a giant spoiler warning? Just like if you have not read X-O Manowar, go like nah, for the next like 2 minutes.
I don't even know if it's so much of a spoiler really as a dialogue choice and kind of what went into the editing and process behind that.
Interesting. Like, it's a dialogue choice. I'm very curious.
Like, I might be misreading here, but I think I know where Ken's going.
Well, we're not gonna go with the spoiler. We're gonna go. So one thing that irks my soul is the standard of language. Let's say when it comes to using certain words is very not kosher. So
I see. Okay, I think I know the moment you mean.
Yeah, that particular moment, that kind of like I was not feeling that. But aside from that kind of threw a monkey wrench in it for me, just because I know why that particular word gets to get used, because that's how you get around being able to drop F-bombs and stuff. Why that's socially acceptable, I don't know. I went into a whole explanation on that earlier. And so I'm not going to spend a ton of time with that. But that definitely was like, I didn't like that. But other than that, that was as far as like the plot and how it was moved. And that's kind of part of it too, is not even so much that it's like, all right, here's the thing. And I said this like when I went my whole rant about certain dialogue choices, is that I understand that me being a Christian man, my standards aren't the same as everybody else's. I don't expect other people to follow the same standards as me, because that doesn't make sense. That's like expecting vegans to like eat cheese, or being mad at like Hindus that don't eat meat. Like that doesn't make sense. If you're not a follower of Jesus, you're not going to do things that Christians should do. So I get that. But I guess where I'm going with that is, when you make those choices, if it at least fits in the context of the story to prove a point or something along those lines, it's still gross, but it at least serves a purpose, to whereas that instance, not so much. But going forward from that, because that's how you do it. You start with something good, start with something that can be improved upon, and then, Army, this is how we did at Army, when you wrote like a assessment for one of your junior soldiers. Start something good, start something that can be improved upon, and then there you go. You have your overall thing. So, but all that being, this is genuinely the direction as far as like the actual story and the characterization and everything else that's going on in X-O #4 that needs to be moved, I think, to really draw in people. Because just like we talked about last time, the thing that I think this run is doing very, 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 very well is showing people that you aren't just reading like Valiant's version of Iron Man, or like Valiant's, I guess like Green Lantern would be like the DC equivalent. So you're really getting to see what makes X-O Manowar a unique character who's lasted so long. Like why he's one of the flagship characters of Valiant,
Totally.
because there's just so much cool stuff to him, and not just like the laser blast and the super strength, but just like everything about the package deal is just such a cool, unique thing that you're not going to get from another book.
No, I agree with you, and I think one of the things that's so great about this series, coming out of this first arc, and I think is that it's the sense that there's nothing is accidental. You know what I mean? Like every plot point has a purpose and it's building, right? And you feel that it's building and building. And when you get to, if you have not read the issue 4 and you have not gotten to the last like 3 pages of issue 4, like you are missing out right now, because this thing, the cliffhanger that you're on is phenomenal. And it's that beautiful thing that only episodic storytelling can do, right? That you really can get it. It's something that weekly TV shows can do, and it's something that monthly comics can do, which is your job is not simply to resolve what the current conflict in front of you is, but it's then to set up what the dire next conflict is to make sure you come back. You gotta give a satisfying resolution, and then you've got to find a way to hook them for the next issue. Not for the next 3 issues. You can't say, well, it's number 4, I'll come back in number 7. It's like, no, I got to read number 5 right now. And that, I think this issue does a phenomenal job doing that. And I would argue that a lot of comics these days, because it feels like, in my opinion, I won't like call anything out, but there's an argument to be made that the style of storytelling now lends itself more to the graphic novel, experience where you're reading 4 issues at a time, right? And one of the things I love about this X-O series, and I think you're going to see with Savage, and you're going to see with Shadow Man, you're going to see with Ninjak and Harbinger, the Harbinger this year, is that these books clearly have an eye similar to like a saga, wherein it's going to grab you in the first 2-3 pages, because that's all the time you have to get somebody's interest. You're going to get a conflict within each issue. You're going to get a resolution within each issue, and then you're going to have a cliffhanger that's going to cause you to come back for the following issue. So I really kudos to editorial and to Dennis and Emilio and Ruth and Hassan for building the structure of this arc, that every issue ends on a cliffhanger that you have to see what happens next. And this issue, I think, is one of the best ones they've done. They just keep leveling up and leveling up. And it's one of the reasons that you see the next arc is called Upgrade the World. And it's very much to do with that threat you see at the end of issue 4. And you just saw, the suit, Arik and Shanhara gets their own, upgrade and improvements via Whitaker. What does that do? What's going to happen with that suit? How is he going to get out of the situation at the end of issue 4, if he can, if you think he can? So it's just the structure that these guys and gals are building is really, really something I applaud, because I don't think you see enough of it in today's marketplace and what you see on the shelf. And that's not a knock. Like there's some, some writers and artists like writing for the trade, pacing it more for that long form. That's totally cool. And I enjoy that style as well. But for me, if I'm going to pick up a monthly comic, you got to hook me, you got to keep me, and then you got to make me want to look for the next issue the second I finish reading it. And I think X-O4 does that exceedingly well.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I actually wanted to touch on too, is that it seems like a return to form almost, where if you go back and you read like, say, like the 2012 like X-O Manowar, or like even like Rye in like 2014 or something like that, where a lot of the Valiant books had like a 4-issue structure. Even like, say, if you go back to just Live One, you can take it and it still kind of fit the classic 4-issue structure like the Valiant did. And it seems like this run of X-O is executing that very, very well, to where you can pick up an individual issue and enjoy it. And there's like, you don't have this feeling like, well, because I missed, say like if you just picked up number 4, right? Like,
Right.
yeah, you're gonna miss some stuff. There's gonna be some really great moments. Particularly, this is one of my. I always go back to the basketball moment, or the first time Eric and Shanhara fight one of Whitaker's robots. Like all that stuff is cool, and it's definitely go get it. X-O Manowar 1 through 4, pick them all up. But if you just get 4, you can still sit down and have like a full story that you can enjoy and just be like, okay, well, cool. Well, now, like you said, at the end of number 4, it's nuts. So unless you just hate fun, you're going to be like, all right, well, I guess I got to put number 5 on my pull list now. Like,
but I mean, go through it, right? Because I think you're 100% right. You look at that first scene, and we can talk about the first scene. That's not too spoiler. It's like the first 3-4 pages. If you can't read the first 4 pages, like we're doing something wrong. But it's like you have the bad guy. He's got a hostage. He makes it very clear his goal is he wants to take down X-O Manowar. And he's going to do it even whether he gets defeated, he still has a way to take him down. Or if his men with all the big guns and weapons takes him down. Like, there's your conflict for the issue, right? And it's set up right away. So you know the stakes, you know who the bad guy is, you know who's at risk, you know who the good guy is, you know what's going from a pure structural standpoint from storytelling. That's all you need, and it's right there in the opening couple pages. So you can jump in, and I would argue, I'm with you, Ken. I think you could jump up and still into number 4 and still have that full experience because it's right there on page 1 through 3. Everything you need to know to jump right in.
And just another thing that Valiant does so well in making sure that you can kind of jump in, but also telling the whole overarching story. But I don't want to spoil too much with issue 4, but I think this ties into issue 3 as well, where we saw the new suit. And we didn't get to talk to you after that, where there's a whole new design. But we got to talk with colorist Ruth Redmond. And I got to have a little email correspondence and ask a few questions. Super excited to do that because it was a big moment for X-O, this new suit. But there's also this hint of, I don't really trust what's going on because Whitaker is doing something here and Red is ominous. There's just no getting around that. And that's the main influence that there's this hint of Red kind of outlining in some of X-O's armor details. And it dives into that relationship between Arc and Shanhara. So we see that kind of, it doubles down on that in issue 4. So where are we going with this?
I'm arc 2, man. The next story arc, you're absolutely gonna see more about what this upgrade means. The good, the bad, the the middle ground for it. Like, it's all in here. And I think Ruth, first of all, Ruth is phenomenal, just as a human being, let alone as a colorist. But you can see, as I was saying, there's nothing accidental. There's nothing accidental. Anything you see, from the color palette to the style of fonts in the lettering, everything that's coming up is being laid the groundwork for. And the next story arc, they've earned it now. What you're going to see with this new suit and this new threat, and what happens with Troy and X-O's alliance and how this continues to evolve. I'm not going to say you're absolutely right, but I'm going to say you are right for picking on certain elements and thinking there's more to it. Whether the conclusions you're drawing are right, but I will say you're very astute, Nick, for looking at that color choice and thinking there's a reasoning behind it. There is a very good reason for you to look at the word bubbles in issue 2 between certain characters and how they are done and how their font is compared to later issues. There is a lot of seeds being dropped along the way that you don't even realize. We're very excited to see which ones fans like you are picking up on. So I love that you're looking at the red color. I love that you noticed this. Because yes, it will mean something. What it means, you got to wait and see.
Yes, and as soon as I saw Upgrade the World, I was like, oh my gosh, where is this going now? Because now it just freaks me out even more. And I think that
only gets bigger. It only gets bigger.
because there's
Like,
an upgrade happening, and there's a lot of unlocked potential with Shinhara. And anytime you get to that where there's so much of this untapped potential that you just had no idea about, and now X-O is this much stronger, you're like, hold on, this came from Whitaker, and this came from something that's bigger. And I think that's part of what makes Valiant so rewarding that you don't see anywhere else, and kind of taps back into what you were talking about, that only certain comics can do and only certain publishers can do. Valiant does this so well, where you can say, go look at the lettering in issue 2 and see what that gives you for what's going forward. You can't just do that in any book, and X-O is such an excellent example of that in action.
It's an incredible example of a creative team that at every position, they understand the importance that they contribute to the storytelling, and it's one of the things I love that Ruth did an interview with Comic Watch, because colors don't get enough spotlight. They never get any of the credit for the storytelling that they add. You've seen the process pages. We all have, what a page in a comic looks like with just pencils and inks is very different once you add the colors and that layered storytelling and how it brings it to life. So,
Yeah.
and Hassan's the same way. A letterer often gets very overlooked. I always think of a letterer and in some way like a referee in pro wrestling. You're not supposed to notice it until you're supposed to notice it if they're doing their job right. And it's like, but that doesn't mean that they're not an absolute integral part of the storytelling of what's being built. And Hassan is absolutely an integral part there and what he's bringing to it, as much as Emilio, as much as Ruth, as much as Dennis. And it's just, they are in a rhythm right now, and they're on the same wavelength in a way that you can only get greatness. And that's what you're getting right now, and what you'll continue to get. Because I'm reading the scripts for issues 5, 6. They've already been drawn. Like, it's going crazy right now. So
yes, that's super
it's coming,
exciting.
man.
Yes, I'm so ready. And like that team falling into sync and having such a rhythm plays to, I guess, maybe the reaction that we saw in X-O #1, where people were kind of like, where is this going and what's happening? We saw a lot of that with fans, but with each new issue, you see more and more people like, I'm sold. It's getting there. It's like, it's doing what it needs to do. And like, I'm a fan of this. And that's such a success to everyone involved.
Well, I remember back in November before issue 2, I came on here and we talked a bit about that. And it's one of those things where it's, whenever you want to try to explore a new facet of a character, and it's different than what came before. And we are one of the beauties of comics that has its good and its bads, like everything else, is we as fans take ownership of the characters in a certain way because they mean so much to us. And so when the characters are doing something that you haven't seen before, or that you don't recognize right away, you're like, is this still the people? Is this still mine? Is this still my X-O Manowar? Is this still, and you've got to, and it takes an adjustment period. It's a little bit of an adjustment. You've got to see, do you trust the team behind it? Have they earned your trust? And see what's next. And, what's really cool is, I'm with you. The more chatter I see about X-O with each subsequent issue, the more people who were a little, concerned by the changes and a little like, I don't know. It's like, no, they're like, oh man, I'm so in this. I want to, where's the next one? Like, why is there only one a month? What's wrong with you people? So, and that's really cool. And it's really cool to see. And we're seeing it in sales. I mean, X-O 4 is going to be one of our highest selling number 4s in 3 years, I think, at this point. It's doing fantastic in the numbers. So, and because of that, we're really excited for what the next arc's going to be, and we're really excited about what the story beyond that's going to be, and how that's going to change the game for the characters. So you're only going to get bigger, badder, faster, stronger, whatever the saying is.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the future, because as you're okay, right, so here's the thing, right? So I've been thinking about this.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So here's what
he's chomping at the bit here.
Yeah.
Okay. So Armor Hunters, right? We saw them way back when. They popped up at the end of Matt Kent's run. And so here's the thing. right?
Mhm.
With XO, they're pretty much we know sooner or later something alluding to something tying into the Armor Hunters is going to show up. Now, if you remember, the whole point of them coming down to the Earth in the first place was to try to kill Shanhara before the technology like infected the world, which is exactly what's going to happen.
Is it?
So
I see what you did
What am I
there.
trying
I
to
see what you tried to do there.
I'm just connecting dots, man. I'm just connecting dots. So maybe, just maybe, I don't know, might see some Ginger action, might see some Armor Hunters come back. Maybe, possibly.
I mean, just keep reading. You gotta find out. Only way to find out is to keep reading. I don't know what to tell you.
And I think that speaks to the whole Valiant universe as a whole, because we've seen that a lot with some of these issues, and that there's not a whole lot of just immediate connections that you can see. You know, like this issue connects to this run and this event. They're playing in their own wheelhouse here, and I think that a lot of these dots that can connect plays into the fact that Valiant has touched on a way to proceed with their books that are super new reader friendly, but they get people like Ken talking about like, what does this mean? And that to me is what's so exciting.
What a balancing act. It's really hard to do. And we don't have the output of a Marvel or DC, so we don't get many shots at it. You know what I mean? So like we've got to do it every time, and we got to do it right. And I think you're seeing that in Bloodshot. I think you're seeing some great ties to Salvation coming up, and honoring that continuity. You're going to see a tease for where the character's going next at the end of issue 12 that I think you guys are really going to dig. I can't wait for you all to speculate the last page teaser of Bloodshot 12. I think that, you know, it's that balancing act of just, you know, at what point do you dive way back into the continuity, and how can you still honor that continuity but still make sure it's new reader accessible, so that you can get more people involved. And that way, when you do pay off the continuity, people are going like, oh my God, what is all this? This is really cool. Oh, there's more of these characters. Oh, let me go back. You know, and it doesn't feel intimidating, or it doesn't feel insular. It doesn't feel like you're keeping them at bay. It's like, oh, it's only for people who know about this character. Like that's not what it's supposed to be. You go back to any Spider-Man story all the way through the 70s into the early 80s. Anybody could pick up any issue and read it. And if you wanted to go back, they always told you where to read for this reference or that reference, right? But anybody was welcome. And that is the goal. We want to make sure any issue of a Valiant comic is welcoming to someone who's brand new, but also is honoring the continuity for the fans who know that, hey, we're still playing within the rules of the world. And these are still the characters you've been loving. And we are honored, and we're going to bring in this little element here. We're going to bring in that little element here. Maybe a touch of this. You're going to see a little bit with it Savage. You're going to see some more of it in Bloodshot. You're going to see some crazy stuff in Shadow Man. And as we get further into 2021 and we get into 2022, we're going to see where things go there and how that's commingling a little bit more. And the thing about it, too, is, look, we all know what 2020 was. The only thing that changed is things just got delayed. You know, a lot of these plans have been in the works for a couple of years now. And it's just now we're finally in the place where it's like, all right, number one. Savage, Shadow Man, Harbinger, Ninjak, new arcs of X-O, Bring the Thunder. We can finally show off all the stuff we've had planned since 2018, some of it. So,
yes. And I know we got a few comments. Sean Hayes and Chris talking about what's going on with the Visitor. And I know you said we can't get any hard details yet on
how it's getting details. I can say that issues 5 and 6 are done. Last time I checked, like I think we because of the delays, we decided to wait on coloring issue 6 of Visitor, but covers are done, the story is done. It's all a matter of timing and where it fits within the schedule, within the parameters that we're doing it, and where our focus is. And COVID happened and just changed everything. And we're still, and we're not the only ones. Every single publisher is still reevaluating their schedule. They're still reevaluating when things finish up, what comes out, how it ties in. So Visitor is there. Issues 5 and 6 have been drawn. I believe issue 6 is being colored right now. We have the ending of the story. The covers are there. It's just a matter of when is the right time on the schedule. Do we do it 1 issue per month? Do we do a double dose of it 1 month? How do we finish it out? I literally been having these conversations this week. So,
Nice.
So hang in there. We have not forgotten about the Visitor. The story is still there. We will see the light of day.
So cool. And honestly, for some of my own fandom, I would love to talk about Bloodshot number 10. I gave the book a 10 out of 10 score.
Yes, you did.
I will do that a year from now. I will look back and say, that's a 10 out of 10 book. And I keep, because I wrote that review and I sat on it for a little bit because I was like, I don't really give that many 10 out of 10s. The last one I believe was These Savage Shores from Vault, like way back when the issue.
Love Rom.
Yes.
Shout out to Rom V.
Yeah. And this is not, Bloodshot number 10 is not These Savage Shores. It's a totally different book. It's on its own, but it's amazing for its own reasons. And it did so many good things, and like being rewarding as a Valiant fan for going to see the movies, for reading the back history of Bloodshot, for what's coming in the future. It just, to me, it did everything. What did you think of the book? I haven't gotten your thoughts on it.
Mine are 10s.
You, Matthew.
No, I'm really excited for what it's building towards. You know, I think that Wiggins and KT and Bloodshot is going to be a hell of a team. I think that, you know, again, you're at a point in the story where we can bring in an element like what we're bringing in to issue 11, which is if you're familiar with the runs previously, if you like some of the big bads, you're going to get it. I need to check my email because I think we're approving it to go to print like now before the Monday deadline. So I'm really stoked for this team. I think this team is going to be here to stay for at least this story arc, if not beyond. I think Wiggins is a wonderful compliment. I think KT is a great kind of wrench in there. It's almost like Bloodshot meets the A-Team in a lot of ways, and in that like super fun, you know, kind of gonzo action stuff. And I think this is going to bring out a slightly new facet of a character that you haven't really seen before. And do it in a way that's still very much honoring who this character is, what has come before, and the new direction it's taking it in. And I love Pedro Andreo's artwork. I think he is just destroying this series right now. Issue 11 is, because you guys are going to get the press copies for Comic Watch sooner than later. And I mean, issue 11 just looks even better than issue 10. Like, he's just getting better and better and better. And he was one of those, and Pedro is one of those artists that we found in a portfolio review. You know, the kind of, the kind of portfolio reviews that you see us do like once a quarter now, and you'll see another one, I want to say like end of February, March probably, but like we're still settling on it. But like, this is a guy who just showed his stuff, and we needed to fill an artist for Bloodshot in arc 3. He was great, and now he's the artist on arc 4. You know what I mean? So it's like, these are the opportunities, and he's got discovered talent through all these initiatives. So when people ask like, oh man, what are these portfolio reviews for? And it's like, well, the artist on Bloodshot is found through one of these last year. So like, it's a really cool thing to see new talent being brought up with somebody like Tim, with Lisa at the helm there. So I'm really excited for Bloodshot 10. I'm really excited for this creative team. And I'm excited for these team of characters. And I think you guys are going to be really excited as well as you read the next issue.
Yeah.
I like Wiggins, and he was probably my favorite part of the movie. So seeing Wiggins and KT like in the book,
man,
instant win.
Wiggins for the win, man. Wiggins for the win. That's my t-shirt.
And that happened in the preview too. I was on Twitter one day, loaded up, and there's the Valiant account with this awesome preview of Bloodshot number 10. And I like to drop my phone because I was like, that is an illustrated Wiggins in a comic, reaching his hand out as if to shake my own hand. And I'm so here for it. So hyped. I've read that book probably 10 times by now. And like, I cannot get enough of it. It's just everything. And like, if somebody asks me what Valiant does for its fans and like how rewarding it is, that's the book. Like, that's it. I mean, it gives you everything. And between that and like the direction that we see with X-O, we talked to Heather about the horror influence in Shadow Man and how it was kind of a no-brainer to be a horror book.
Can't wait.
Like,
can't wait, man.
It's this direction that has me just so excited because everything feels like you're hitting the marks right when you need to. Like you said, you don't get a lot of chances and each one needs to count. And I feel like these are counting.
I totally agree with you. And I am so excited about these stories that we get to tell, that we finally get to tell, that we're ready for it. The marketplace is ready. The world is ready. And I think you're gonna be blown away. I think you're gonna be so surprised at how much you're gonna connect with Savage. I think readers are gonna lose their minds on Shadow Man #1. I truly do. I think that book is going to be, I think people are gonna just like you, they're gonna read it 10 times when that issue 1 comes out. I think for the Harbinger, I don't think you guys are ready. I don't think anybody's ready for what Robbie Rodriguez and Colin and Jackson are pulling on this thing. Like, it is, we've got all of issue 1 drawn. I was staring at it earlier today, and I'm just like, this might be my favorite book of any publisher the month it comes out. I will put this book up there against, Cullen! Yes!
Cullen is, shout out to Cullen Bunn, writer of Shadow Man, and so much more.
Shadow Man, I mean, just the stuff from this team, because you have people like Cullen who's so invested in this book. You've got Robbie and Colin and Jackson, and you've got, the team on Savage and the team on Ninjak. Oh my God, Jeff Parker will not stop talking about Ninjak. Like, it is, you have people who are so invested in these stories, and you're going to see that in these books. And I think it's going to connect with you in ways you have no idea. And for Shadow Man, I'm so excited too, because not only do you get the new Shadow Man series, but stay tuned. We have talked about video games with Shadow Man. You might see a little something about that around the time that it comes out. Stay tuned. More to come, literally in the coming weeks. So keep your eyes peeled. Like, Shadow Man, this is going to be a year of Shadow Man for this company in many, many ways. And Cullen's at the forefront. And like, I got video game developers talking about how much they love the new Shadow Man series, because we've been, passing the artwork, and they're just like, and it's like, yeah. So it's exciting. It's a really exciting time. And we're just so excited that these stories are finally here. We can finally share them with you, because we've been sitting on this stuff for months and months and months and months, waiting until the time was right. And dang it, the time is right. So thank you, Colin. We love seeing you. I love you, Colin. You're the best. You're going to get a package in the mail from us in about a week, and thank you in advance for what you're doing.
I will say this, because I know we're not allowed to talk too much about what's actually in Shadow Man #1. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Not yet.
So
not yet.
Right? Here's the thing, right? What I really liked about it is it has, okay, so whenever you see a lot of the runs, all right, let's put it like this. A lot of the runs before in the relaunch have been a lot of just Jack not having the best time being Shadow, right? And
Fair to say.
that's fair, because I mean, it kind of sucks having Loa strapped to you, and monsters trying to kill you, so on and so forth. I get it, right? But it gave you that vibe of like OG saxophone jazz club Shadow Man from like the 90s, but like all the good, well, I don't even have to explain that, because if you're a 90s Shadow Man, you know that still holds up in 2021. But it's still got like that, it's like that Louisiana cool.
He's never been cooler. He's never been cooler than Shadow Man #1.
Yeah.
Like, Cullen has written the coolest Shadow Man I've ever seen. And that is not a knock on Andy Diggle. That's not a knock on Justin Jordan. That's not a knock on Peter Milligan. That's not a knock on any of the folks that came before the 90s series. I just think that Cullen and John and Jordy and Hassan and Clayton, I think they're just, they've found a whole new level with this Shadow Man, and I want it to be here so badly. I just want to talk about it to no end. I want you to all see issue 2 and issue 3 and issue 4 already. I've been sitting on it so long, y'all. I got Shadow Man in my veins at this point. I cannot wait.
We were so excited. We had to kind of pick Heather's brain about it a little, and she was like, you know, how has Shadow Man not been a straight horror book? And then you get the announcement with this creative team, and it's like Master of Horror : Bun, and it's like, you know, like you can do no wrong with this. And
nope. And so Cullen is doing no wrong. Cullen is only doing right.
Like we're gonna have to have you back on, Cullen. You're always welcome on the show. We'd love to talk about Shadow Man. We're super hyped for it, and just what a great year for Valiant coming up. I couldn't be more excited.
2021 is going to be a hell of a year for these characters. It's going to be a great year for the fans, and so much of the stuff that we've been planning and working on will finally get to see the light of day. And if I have been a fan of Valiant for as long as y'all have been a fan of Valiant, the universe is in excellent hands, and it's okay that the universe is not absolute.
I keep telling y'all, it's coming back.
Yes.
Watch.
All right.
Sorry. We'll be here for another hour. If I open that can of worms back up, we'll be here for another hour. We gotta wrap it up. I know we gotta wrap it up, but mark your calendars. X-O Manowar number 4 is out. Savage number 1, which also awesome. All right, no, okay. I'm just gonna say this real quick about Savage, right? So it's very bright and colorful, and I was like, that's kind of weird because the other one was very like grim and jungle noir, and this one is like, it's almost like the difference between like Tarzan and Kazar, where like they're similar, but this is very Kazar, if that makes sense. But it's awesome. It's still awesome. Pick it up. It's gonna be out in like just over 2 weeks.
February 17th.
Boom, February 17th. Yep. Get it if you ain't got it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube later. If you're not following us on Twitter, I don't know what the problem is. Follow us at Valiant Watch. Follow at Valiant Comics because duh. Also, shout out to Cullen for being here. That was a complete surprise. Didn't see that coming.
It was awesome. Thank you, Cullen.
And as always, stay valiant, my friends.
Bye.